All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another GospelX, Gospel According to the X-Men. My name is Jonathan. This is Henry, and we are so glad that you can join us today as we move on to episode 2 of the Dark Phoenix Saga of the 1990s X-Men animated series. And so, Henry, over to you first. Can you just give our viewers just the brief synopsis of the episode before we go?
Oh my goodness. So basically, if you haven't seen this before, it's starting to ramp up. The X-Men have all been captured by the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is boasting that, hey, the only reason that you were able to break into here in the first place was because we
wanted you here.
Come in. We wanted you here so that we could capture you. So Wolverine is trapped in the sewer, managed to fight himself out. We get a lot of dialogue between the Inner Circle and the X-Men. Apparently, they're eating dinner while the X-Men are chained to a wall, in the same room. And there's this particular scene, and we're going to show this clip, is that Cyclops is pleading with Jean, the Dark Phoenix, saying that he's gonna free her from her shackles, from servitude from the Inner Circle, and then the Dark Phoenix responds back saying that I'm already free.
Yeah. So
I'm already free.
So let's pause for a moment, and so that our viewers could take a look at that clip. And so we'll be right back.
Wingard! Jean, I've come to free you!
I've already been freed. Set free from the constraints of sympathy and morality that bind ordinary human beings. The Phoenix Force inside me aches for sensation.
All right, we're back. So, hope you guys enjoyed the clip. So, yeah, Henry, keep going. So what are we gonna...
So basically, it's the Dark Phoenix, how can she be considered free at this point? I mean, she's basically trapped in a illusion by this dude, right? I think it's called or something.
Win something.
He's got her trapped in an illusion, thinking that they're in love with each other.
Yeah.
Eventually, Wolverine breaks in. There's this big hoorah. The X-Men and the Inner Circle start fighting. The Phoenix says that she's no longer going to deal with this and flies off.
Yep.
Final scene is when Winberg, or whatever his name is, goes onto the rooftop.
Yep.
To try to regain control of the Phoenix. And she turns on him and just basically...
turned him into a raisin.
Strips him of everything.
Yeah.
And the final scene of when Cyclops goes and confronts the Dark Phoenix, and the Dark Phoenix is, in her mind, she's finally free. She's free of all the constraints, all the responsibilities, all the relationships. She can now do whatever she wants. Is that freedom, though, John?
Well, you know what? I think the Phoenix, it's like a definition of freedom is pretty much the definition that what we've been bombarded with lately, right? It's like no constraints is freedom, no boundaries, no
telling you what to do.
Yeah, no rules. And
no telling you what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, you determine what's right and wrong and what's good for you, right? Or what's good for me is what's good for me, and I'll do it anyway. And the interesting thing is that there's a lot of studies out there, like not even Christian studies, just like a lot of studies that show that kids who have this much freedom actually have more anxiety. Right. And more because it's so chaotic, and then they're given with all these choices, but they don't know how to choose because there's no criteria for them to choose. Right. And so they're just so bombarded with choices that they're just stressed out. Right.
They want people to tell them what
they want,
to do, or what is the wrong thing to do.
it's not much about a right or wrong, but how about like just criteria on what is actually good, what actually accounts as a good choice, right? And what accounts as a bad choice, right? It's like going into it's like this old saying, like where you have the freedom to choose any movies you want to watch on Netflix, right? But without the criteria of what you actually want and like what you really want to see, what genre you want to see, you're going to end up the next 2 hours just scrolling, just surfing, and not actually watching a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not freedom, right? Like you're just stuck there, like, and basically you're confined and constrained to this scrolling and not even doing anything. You have no freedom because you don't have any enjoyment out of it, right? And that's so. Here's my point that I want to make about freedom, and I always use this analogy about freedom. Freedom has a lot to do with good freedom. The right type of freedom does have criteria, right? Criteria on the rules of engagement. What I mean by that is, for instance, a hockey player, or for those Americans out there, football player, right? Or basketball player, whatever, right? In sports, if there is no rules of engagement, then there would be no definition of what a goal is, or what a superstar is, or what a great play is, or what an awesome like play would be, right? You agree? Like if there were no rules, let's say, for example, in basketball, there were no rules, we wouldn't have a Michael Jordan. We wouldn't. We would never have a Kobe Bryant, rest his soul. And we won't have any of the LeBron James or anything. We won't have like amazing plays and Hall of Famers and awesome basketball players because there's no rules of engagement. There's no rules of things like that. And so therefore, like, it's not freedom really. What rules to provide is the freedom to be who they are, awesome basketball players. You know, these rules provide them with the freedom to be awesome basketball players. And so for me, the definition of freedom is, first of all, the rules of engagement is actually defined by who you are and who you are meant to be, right? LeBron James knows who he is, and he is supposed to be an awesome basketball player. And therefore he accepts the rules of engagement, that canvas that he is provided with. And each person has their own canvas. And then that's why there needs to be rules of engagement in their own canvases. And so that's what I think true freedom looks like. It's when we know who we want to be and we know what our canvas looks like and our rules of engagement looks like. So you're going to ask me, what does the Christian have to say about this, right?
Yeah. What does a Christian have to do about it?
Well, our rules of engagement is defined by who we are too, right? And who are we? We're meant to be living in the fullest God-given potential that God has given us, right? He has given us this life of full potential that he has given us. And he wants us to be able to flourish in that full potentialness. And so like, what does a full Henry look like? What does a full Jonathan Chan look like? And therefore, he says, do you know how you get there? I'll give you some criteria, some rules of engagement, so that you could operate within that and be this full person that you are meant to be. And so without that, you'll be like the Phoenix, just all over the place. Like, that's why she's fire, right? It's because fire just goes all over there. There's no rules of engagement. It's all chaos.
We will have to go and see in the upcoming episode.
Yeah, which is good.
Is going to happen. What is she going to do with all this freedom that she has? And we'll talk about it, and we'll see what her decision.
And interesting that you alluded to that next episode is because then she figures out who she really is. And then suddenly she has, you could say, the proper definition of freedom, because now she has the rules of engagement and criteria. But that we'll leave in the next episode.
Next week.
We could actually call that next episode Freedom Part 2. Right?
Yeah. Let's just talk about that next time.
Yeah, but for our viewers right now and for our sake here, I think when we talk a lot about freedom, and we talk about, there shouldn't be any rules, there shouldn't be any constraints. Well, and like an artist has constraints, even though an artist, we could say that artist has the most freedom, but a painter has constraints because why? Well, it's the stupid canvas that they're looking at. It's bordered, right? And so you could only operate within that, but they have the freedom to do whatever they want with it, right? But they know that they are governed by the rules of the colors, governed by the rules of the canvas, and governed by the rules of the border. Yet they still have freedom to be the fullest artist that they can be. And for our sake, good freedom is to know who you are and knowing that criteria of how to reach to the fullest potential of who you are. And for Christians out there, for you and me included, we know that we're given this God-given full potential to live out the fullest potential that he has given us. He has given us rules so that we could have that freedom to live to that fullest potential. What do you think?
I think that's absolutely hits the nail right on the head, is that he gives us kind of rules and constraints because it feels like it's like a glass of water. You don't have, if you remove the glass, you're just a puddle. You're everywhere.
Or if you've seen that meme where the goldfish, with unconstrained freedom, it jumps out of the water. Is that really freedom?
No.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Dies,
right? It dies, right?
It dies.
So actually, the whole idea, like the funny thing that you mentioned about water, it is constrained by boundaries, but the fish is free, more free in the water than it is when it had total freedom of jumping it out of the water, which is, yeah. So it is important to know who you are. The fish, it's important to know that it's a fish and not a dog, right? And it's important for us to know who we are and not something else, right? And I think that's what rules are. It defines us, it helps us to know, let us know who we are and the ability to live out to our fullest potential who we are.
Obviously, a very interesting take on it. Sometimes less freedom equals more freedom.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's almost like the further we are apart, the more we love each other. Anyways, all right. Is there anything else you want to add, or are we on?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, folks. Thank you all for joining us with another episode of GospelX, the Gospel According to the X-Men. Again, if you want to chime in or if you completely disagree with us, that is okay. Just enter your comments in the bottom of the post, either on YouTube or Facebook, or just send me an email and blast me there at www.companyofdisciples.com. Well, have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you in our next episode as we embark on the third episode of the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, Freedom Part 2.
Freedom Part 2.